Hi, so welcome to our last story time of the summer. We are going to go somewhere super special this week, all over the world. That's right. This book is called A Ticket Around the World, and it's going to take us to 13 different countries. There's a map on the front. Let me show you this. The big map. Zoom in. On this side, you can see Canada, the US. Costa Rica is down here in Central America. And when you go all the way to South America, we're going to visit Brazil. Let's scoot over to Europe, right here in this crack, which is a little bit hard to see. You have France. So we'll go to France and to Greece. If you drop down to Africa, in the northern part of Africa, we have Morocco. And in the southern part of Africa, we have Botswana. Over here in the Middle East, which is kind of where Africa and Europe meet, we have Jordan. We're going to visit there. This is India, and then we move even further over in Asia to China. Once you drop down to kind of these island countries, we have the Philippines, and down here is Australia. Now we're going to do them out of order, but we will be following this guy right here. This dude has friends all over the world. He will be visiting his friends, and they will be telling us some neat things about each of these places. But first, he wants to say hi to you. So he says, I love to travel. The more places I visit, the more friends I make, and the more things I discover. I'd love to share a journey with you, so grab your ticket and let's go around the world together. Okay, so the first place he visits is Costa Rica. That's in Central America. We're going to fold the book in half so it's a little easier. And I'll zoom in on some of the pictures because there's a lot of text. But first, an overview of Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a small country in Central America with over 4.9 million people. It's famous for its tropical rainforest, active volcanoes, and misty cloud forest. There's howler monkeys, iguanas, and sea turtles, and there are just some of the amazing wildlife that live here. So let's zoom in. You can see here's one of the iguanas, and here's his friends. His friend is going to speak in Spanish and say buenos dias. This means good day in Spanish, or good morning, or good day in Spanish. I traveled to Costa Rica with my friend Alberto. Alberto is a tico. It's a nickname Costa Rican boys and men give themselves. Girls and women are known as ticas, and the guys are known as ticos. Most ticos and ticas speak Spanish, but some groups still speak indigenous or native languages. Here's the howler monkey that we talked about as well. Let's meet Alberto's family. Alberto lives on a farm near the city of Alajuela with his dad, brother, and abuela. Abuela is his grandma. There are mountains all around Alberto's farm, and the cows roam freely in the countryside. His family grows fruit and vegetables that they can sell at street markets or small shops in nearby towns. San Jose, the country's capital, is only an hour away by car. Plus, Costa Rica has two seasons. There's a rainy season and a dry season. March and April are the hottest months of the year. Let's zoom in on that photo. You can see all of the pictures around his farm. And on the other side, it talks about my favorite part of the farm was the horse barn where we played hide and seek. Alberto even showed me how to groom and ride a horse like a real ranch hand. During my stay, Alberto's favorite food, gallo pinto, which is black beans and rice. It is the country's national dish, and it can be eaten with every meal, even breakfast. And then finally down here, they visit this place, and I'll show you, I'll zoom in a minute. Alberto took me to visit the town of La Fortuna, home of the famous Arenal volcano. It is one of the 10 most active volcanoes in the whole world, and we swam in a nearby hot spring. Here's the hot spring and the volcano. There's that dish, that food that they talked about, and here's the horse barn. Pretty cool, huh? Did you like Costa Rica? Yeah, Costa Rica is awesome. Now we're going to go to the other side of the world and visit India. For the summary, it says India is known for its ancient temples, spicy curries, and the game of cricket. It has over 1 billion people and 16 official languages. Hindi and English are two of them. A few hours from the capital of New Delhi, you'll find the famous Taj Mahal, a 300-year-old monument visited by millions of tourists every year. And of course, that is the picture of Taj Mahal. And over here, some tigers. Let's read about the tigers. It says, oh goodness, Sun Sundarbans National Park. So there's a national park with a name that I am not saying very well. It's in eastern India and it has the largest mangrove forest in the world. These trees live where the land meets the ocean. The park's tiger reserve is home to one of over 100 Bengal tigers. Now let's meet his friends. So Namaste is a respectful greeting in Hindi. I'm visiting my friend Meena. She lives in Mumbai, India's second largest city, and Mumbai's busy streets are always packed with people traveling by auto rickshaws, cars, buses, and bicycles. Here, picture of those tigers in the mangrove forest over here, okay? And here is their him and Meena are riding in this like rickshaw outside the city of Mumbai. Down here, it talks about the climate. It says India is very hot. People wear light cotton clothing to stay cool, and some parts of the country experience heavy rainstorms called monsoons. Okay, now on the other side, it gives three things that they did in India. First one says, Meena and I went to a Bollywood movie. These Indian films are popular all over the world, and I especially loved the singing and dancing. Let's zoom in on that. And down here, they're going to have something to eat. And her daddy is her grandmother. It's a way to say grandma. Meena lives in an apartment with her mom, her dad, and daddy, which is grandma. After school, Meena helps her daddy make dinner. Tonight, I helped too. We made a saucy chicken dish called Murg Makhani. Over here, fruits such as bananas and mangoes can grow in India's hot climate. And finally, down below, they're doing something kind of fun. I'll show you that in a minute. We celebrated Holi or Holi. Holi? It's the festival of colors. On the third day, called Parva, we threw colorful powder and water at one another. This is how Indians welcome spring. Here's that picture. Yeah, that looks like so much fun. So did you enjoy visiting India? Yes? Try to pay attention to what we're saying because at the end, there is a quiz. Like, I mean it. The back of the book, there's some fun facts just to kind of recap of where they've gone over gone during this time, and we're going to quiz you. So now we visit Morocco. This is in the northern part of Africa. It says the Kingdom of Morocco in North Africa is home to almost 34 million people and many different cultures. Of the many languages spoken here, Arabic and Berber are official languages, and French is also common. So Morocco has two seasons. They have a hot, dry season and a rainy season. Heavy rain and snow often fall in the mountains, while it's drier and hotter when you're closer to the coast, so along here on the coast. Now, Morocco, can see this. There's a small part of water that divides it from Spain. So it's going to explain that Morocco is close to Europe. His friend is Malak. Malak's family has friends in Spain, which is only 9 miles away. So there's only 9 miles between Spain and that tip of Morocco. Let's meet his friends. It says, Ahlan, which means hello from Morocco. I am visiting my friend Malik. She speaks Arabic and lives close to Rabat, the capital of Morocco. Again, don't know how to speak their language, so if I'm a little bit off, that's okay. They visited the ancient fortress city of At Ben Hadou. This city right here. This traditional mud brick city was built entirely of local materials such as molded earth and clay brick in the foothills of the Atlas Mountains. And this photo says Malak lives with her parents, her brothers, her cousins, her aunt, her uncle, and her grandmother. There was always someone to play with and to share a meal with. So let's zoom in. That is the town built out of basically clay and earth materials. Here is her family. She lives with quite a few family members. Three things that they did, right? So the Sahara Desert is the largest in the world and it covers much of southern Morocco. We went camel trekking through the dunes and saw a fennec fox. And of course, they had to eat. So I love the Moroccan traditional dish of couscous and vegetables cooked in a tangine. Malik's family serves it with mint tea. For dessert, I tried some special dessert. Gazelle horns is how it translates. Pastries filled with honey and almonds. It was delicious. Take a look at that dish and their camel trekking. That is the fox that they saw. How cool. Down below, let's see what they say. Moroccans write using the Arabic alphabet. It was hot when I arrived. Malik and her family were each wearing special clothing. It's a long, loose, hooded robe with sleeves. Men and women wear loose, comfortable clothes to keep cool in hot temperatures. So you can see that. And it looks like she's trying to teach him or maybe read him a letter that they wrote. Here's their cool, long clothing. Okay, so that was Morocco. That's a good one to visit, right? Go up a little bit to the north, and just across the Mediterranean, we're going to visit Greece. Greece is, the summary says, the country of Greece is divided into three regions. You have the mainland, the islands, and a peninsula that's south of the mainland. Over 10 million people live in Greece. Its ancient history, spectacular landscapes, and beautiful beaches attract visitors from all over the world. So basically, the friend says, hello from Greece, where I am visiting my friend Konstantinos. He lives in Fira, a city on the island of Santorini, about 120 miles from Greece's mainland. Greece is generally warm, with lots of sunshine for most of the year and some rainfall during the winter. Let's take a look. Greece has this peninsula down here. It has the mainland up here, and then it's covered up. But do you see behind this picture where there's a lot of different islands out here? And this one all the way at the bottom is a bigger island down here called Crete. Let's learn about Crete. Constantino's aunt lives on the Greek island of Crete. Like most of Greece, Crete is known for its olive trees, which grow in the island's valleys and mountains. The olives make flavorful oil that's used all over the world. So that was down in Crete. And then up here are a bunch of goats. I'll zoom in. I saw lots of goats in Greece. People here raise them because goats do well in rocky, mountainous areas with very little grass. Also, since they are smaller than cows, they're much easier to keep. Goats are used for their meat and for their milk and cheese. So let's zoom in. You have several goats up north. You have some down here. There's also some donkeys. Here's your olive trees. And then down on the islands, you have a mix of everything. How cool. So three things that they did. The first place they're going to visit is this one right here. This is the Parthenon. We took a high-speed catamaran, which is a type of a boat, to the city capital of Athens. This is known for its ancient monuments and works of art. Check out the Parthenon. I can't believe something so incredible was built over 2,000 years ago. And then Konstantinos lives with his mom, his dad, his sister, and her sister's husband. Many children live with their parents even once they are grown-ups in Greece. Like many homes here, his house is bright white, and at school, Konstantinos is learning to read and write in Greek. He showed me how to write some letters from the modern Greek alphabet. So let's zoom in. That's the Parthenon. And down here, do you see the water, but the buildings behind them are that white building with like the blue tops? That's very common in Santorini. Here's the alphabet. And of course, her family, or his family. The next place, the final thing they did in Greece, was Greece hosted the first Olympic Games over 2,000 years ago. In ancient times, athletes received olive branch wreaths to wear on their heads instead of the medals that they wear around their necks that are given out at today's games. So here, they learned about the ancient Olympics. They're all running, and then the winner would get this wreath placed on their head. And that was his time in Greece. Pretty cool, huh? Where does he go next? I don't know if we ever found out what this dude's name is. I don't think so. I don't think he tells us his name, so we'll just call him the dude. The dude is going to Canada next. Yeah, we're going up to Canada, north of the US, right? So all of this space and all of these islands up north all make up Canada. Canada has a population of about 35 million people. It's made up of many terrains. So you have mountains, grasslands, lakes, oceans. We traveled to the East Coast over here to visit the Maritimes. We saw the Bay of Fundy, which is a long ocean bay with the highest tides in the world. But Canada is the second largest country in the world, and its climate varies greatly from coast to coast and from north to south. Most of Canada is cold and snowy in the winter, but some parts have hot summers. And who does he meet here? Says hi and bonjour from Canada. I'm visiting my friend Kara. Kara or Cara? Let's go with Kara. She lives in Ottawa, Canada's capital city. Let's zoom in, and you have some polar bears up north where it's cold. You have some moose, some caribou. I believe there's some mountain lions and brown bears over here in the Canadian Rockies. You have some killer whales out here. I didn't read that part yet, so we'll come back to this in a moment, which looks like some farmland. Another moose over here in the Bay of Fundy is right where, like, kind of where the U.S. and where Maine meets Canada. Let's read about this area in the middle. On the weekend, we visited the local farmers market. Canadian farms produce most of the world's flaxseed, canola, legumes, and durum wheat. Kind of cool. 3 other things that they did is they went into the mountains. It says in Banff National Park, which are part of the Rocky Mountains, you can find moose, elk, bear, and even cougars. And then, of course, they had to eat, right? So down here it says we had tourtière for dinner. Now remember, some parts of Canada speak French, while English is also spoken there. We had tourtière for dinner, a traditional French-Canadian meat pie. And at home, Kara speaks both English and French with her mom and her brother. They also met some indigenous people. So let's zoom in real quick. Here's the mountains. Here's the food. And then they met some indigenous people, and we're going to read about that. So the indigenous peoples were the first inhabitants of the land now known as Canada. Canada still has a large indigenous population, and every June 21st, celebrations are held to honor First Nations, the Inuit, the Métis, to celebrate their contributions to Canadian society. And then they head to the big city where Kara lives, and that is Ottawa is famous for its stately Parliament buildings. On the 1st of July, Kara and I joined thousands of others on Parliament Hill to celebrate Canada's birthday. So we have the 4th of July, they have the 1st of July. And here you can see Ottawa's Parliament building. Really neat, especially at nighttime. They light up the sides of that building with this awesome light show. And that was Canada. Have you ever been to Canada? Do you recognize some of that? Okay, well, now we're going to go to South America and visit Brazil. Woo! Brazil has over 200 million people that live there. It's the largest country in South America, and it is huge. Look how big this country is. It's known for its white sandy beaches, huge rainforests, and grassland plains called pampas. Brazil's climate varies from region to region. In the north, the weather stays hot and wet all year round, but the south sometimes has snow in the winter. And he has a friend here, so they say, Hola, greetings from Brazil. I am visiting my friend, Fernanda. Fernanda and her family speak Portuguese. Her parents are from Brasilia, the capital of Brazil. Now they live in São Paulo, which is the biggest city in the country. What's another city there? You know, Rio de Janeiro? Yeah, but let's go up here first because they visited the Amazon River. The Amazon River runs right through Brazil and is one of the longest rivers in the world. While canoeing down the Amazon, we saw blue and yellow macaws, we saw river turtles, and even pink river dolphins. Yes, there are dolphins that are pink, and I'll show you a picture. This is them canoeing in the Amazon. Some turtles, there's like the macaw that's like a parrot, and there are river dolphins that have a pinkish color to them. There's also more birds. There's tapirs, sloths are here. So this is the Amazon like rainforest, right? And then you have Brasilia, which is a town, Rio de Janeiro, and São Paulo. Three things that they did. First, they had to play soccer. Okay, and of course they're going to eat. So let's hear about those two. As in most of South America, the most popular sport in Brazil is soccer, also known as football. I joined Fernanda and her friends in a neighborhood match, and I could barely keep up with them. They were good. We spent some time with Fernanda's avô or grandfather. He is a farmer and he lives in a small rural area raising crops such as soybeans. The beans are sold all over the world. He took us to the local market to buy food for dinner. Beans, rice, meat are food staples in the Brazilian culture. And then it looks like they have some crazy fun down below. So let's see what they did. I went to Rio de Janeiro with Fernanda's family for Carnival. This is a big celebration in February that lasts 4 days and 3 nights. We saw parades, music, and dancers in brightly colored costumes. See that? Kind of looks like Mardi Gras that's here in New Orleans. Very similar. Yeah. So that was his time in Brazil. Pretty cool, huh? Where does the dude go next? France. We're headed back to Europe to go to France. Over 67 million people live in France, and most of them speak French, which is the official language. The Tour de France takes place here. This annual bicycle race is one of the most popular sporting events in the world. Up here, it also talks about, oh, let's meet a friend first. In France, bonjour. I stayed with my friend Leonie. She lives in Paris, which is the capital city. She lives with her mom, dad, and sister in a building that was built hundreds of years ago. Paris is an old city with many historic buildings and monuments. And then, of course, they had to eat some cheese. So Leonie's mom was born in a region of France called Normandy. There are many dairy farms there that produce well-known French cheeses, like Brie. So here's some of the cheese up north in the Normandy area that has a lot of history as well. Here's Paris. You can see Paris in the background there. And let's see what they did while they were in France. First thing, oh, what do you see in the middle? What's this diamond right here? And what's that? We're going to find out about all of those. First thing, of course, is the Eiffel Tower. It's another famous monument in France. A trip to the top meant standing in line for a while. But views of Paris from above were worth the wait. This over here, Paris is home to the Louvre, one of the most visited museums in the world. It houses the Mona Lisa, a famous painting by Leonardo da Vinci. It took us an entire day to see only half of this huge museum. So that's the Louvre, that's the Eiffel Tower. And then over here, I traveled by train with Leonie and her family to Versailles, which is just outside of Paris. Her mom packed a picnic with ham, cheese, and a popular French bread called a baguette. And finally, there were many ways to get around Paris. We mostly rode the Paris Metro, Paris' subway system, but biking is also a popular option. Leonie rides her bike to school every day. You can see they rode through the city on their bikes. How much fun is that? Lots to do in France. Pretty cool, huh? And then the dude goes to the southern part of Africa, to Botswana. Right here. Botswana is found in South Central Africa and has a population of over 2 million people. Most of the country is covered by the Kalahari Desert. The people of Botswana are called Botswana. The official languages are English and Setswana. Botswana is a hot, sunny country with occasional rain showers during the summer, but it is definitely hot there. Let's see who the friend is. Dumela means hello in Setswana. I'm visiting my friend Poloko. He lives in a small village near Gaborone, which is Botswana's capital city. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it's right down here. And Poloko lives with his mom, his dad, and his sister, excuse me, in a round hut. He showed me the chicken coop in their yard. It's Poloko's job to clean the coop and collect eggs for his family to eat. So let's zoom in on that. Look at that round hut. where she can see the chickens. And what a bad job that would be to clean the chicken coop. You also have elephants, zebras, giraffes, and lions. And I think we're gonna go up to this national park next because one of the things that they do is they visit Chobe National Park, and this is what they see. Yeah, let's check that out. It says Poloko's cousin is a tour guide at Chobe National Park. He took us all on a safari to see the African wildlife, including giraffes, crocodiles, gazelles, hippos, and of course the lions. For lunch, I ate seswa with Poloko's family. There's a popular dish in which the meat, which is often beef, is boiled, pounded and shredded, and then served with rice or maize. Uh, Here it says in the northwestern part of Botswana, the Baye tribe, it's Bayea, the Baye tribe members weave baskets that are sold all over the world as art. People in Botswana use them to store and carry food. So they got to experience this food and they got to weave some baskets. It's pretty cool. Down below, they're going to experience some dance. So that says on September 30th, we celebrated Botswana Day. There were street parties and parades to commemorate the country's independence from Great Britain. Pretty cool. Botswana is very unique, isn't it? Did you like being there? So, the dude keeps on traveling. And next up is China. I'm sure you know something about China. But China, look at this purple. It's huge. More than 1 billion people live in China. This large country has many different landscapes, from deserts to oceans to mountains. Dragons are a symbol of good luck in China, and every June, people participate in dragon boat festivals around the country. That is going to be up here. There's your dragon boat festival. And let's meet his friends first. So, ni hao means greetings. In China, I met up with my friend Xiao. He lives in Beijing, which is the capital city. And Beijing is a big, bustling city. We use bicycles to get around. Xiao and his family shop for fish, fruit, and clothes at the market. I bought a red embroidered silk shirt and matching shoes. Market vendors also sell noodles, beans, and toys. And because China is so large, of course, the weather conditions vary depending on where you're at. The south has an extremely warm climate, while the northeast has hardly a summer at all because it's so far north. Let's check out a few of the animals, though. We have pandas up here. There's Beijing. There are some golden monkeys, and I believe that is a Chinese tiger. Pretty cool. 3 things that they did. The first thing, do you know what that is? Yeah, that's the Great Wall of China. They visited one of the most famous places in the world, the Great Wall of China. This historic wall was built to protect the Chinese Empire from attack. It's believed to be over 2,000 years old, and it's so big it can actually be seen from outer space. Xiao speaks Mandarin Chinese and is learning to read and write at school using the Chinese characters. And over here, they had food, so they had lunch. Xiao lives with his mom, his dad, and his younger sister. And he's very close to his family. He eats rice with most meals and almost everything with chopsticks. It was tricky to get the hang of them at first. And finally, at the bottom, he said, I celebrated the Chinese New Year with Xiao's family. They handed out gifts of money in small red envelopes, and we all danced in a traditional dragon costume. So, of course, that's the Great Wall. There's having some lunch. Here's the Chinese characters. And here's that dragon costume with them dancing for New Year. How cool is that? All right. So we just visited China and we are headed just south of there. We're going to drop down into like the island area south of China and visit the Philippines. So the Philippines, look at this, all of the purple, look how divided everything is. It says the Philippines are found in Southeast Asia. The country is made up of more than 7,000 islands and has a population of over 100 million people. It has many tropical rainforests, along with hilly mountains and sandy beaches. Most people in the Philippines speak Tagalog and English. The Philippines has a tropical climate, so it's very hot and dry in the summers It has a rainy season, which would be closer to late summer or fall. And the winter months tend to be a little cooler and there's some dry weather. So his friend, this says, I can't see it. Let's see here. Kamasa, hello and welcome to the Philippines. During my visit here, I spent time with my friend Mary Lou. She lives in Manila, which is the capital city of the Philippines. On weekends, Mary Lou likes to go to the ocean. We spent a whole day fishing and swimming. Afterwards, we ate lechon or roasted pig. It is a Filipino specialty, and I thought it was delicious. We traveled all the way to the island of Mindanao, where I hope to see the endangered Philippine eagle. It has large brown feathers on its head and a big black beak. It likes to eat monkeys. So let's check this out. You have the eagle here. You have different monkeys that are here. And down here, I think that has what is that? That's a different type of monkey as well. So lots of monkeys in this area. One of the things they did is we walked to Manila Bay. So this is on the bay, and it says it's the local port with a harbor. Later, we went to Rizal Park with Mary Lou's family for a picnic. Her mom packed a traditional dish called adobo, which is stewed chicken and vegetables that are served with rice. They also went to the market. So like Mary Lou's family, most people in the Philippines live in cities. Mary Lou and I shopped for food at an outdoor market that also sold clothes, tools, and toys. And our snow cones were delicious. So here's the outdoor market, and there's snow cones. And here's where they picnicked for lunch. Next, they're going down here, and let's find out what that is. The Philippines is home to many volcanoes. Mount Mayon is famous for erupting with lava more than 50 times over the last 400 years. Pretty cool in the Philippines, huh? Next, this is a long book, isn't it? Because we're going all over the world. But we're almost done. He has 3 more places to go. So next, the dude is headed to Australia. Australia is a big island. See all that purple? And it says over 23 million people live in the land down under. Australia is the only country in the world that covers a whole continent. Its countryside, known as the Outback, is remote and full of grassland. Most people live in cities near the coast, and the capital of Australia is Canberra. Now, it has 4 seasons, but the weather is generally warm or hot for most of the year. The deserts in the center part of the country are dry and arid, but parts of the Western Australia do get heavy rain. Let's take a look at this rock. Oh, we need to meet his friend, right? So it says, welcome to Australia. I'm staying with my friend Joe in the outback. Joe's family are Aboriginal Australians and have lived on this land for thousands of years. So here is where Joe, and we're gonna read this train right here. We're gonna read about some kangaroos, maybe some koala bears. There's some crocodiles, and then there's this this rock here in the center. So we visited Uluru, a huge red rock that is sacred in Aboriginal culture. A guided walk around the base of the rock and taught us about our Aboriginal legends and traditions. And then one of the best ways to explore this huge country is to travel on the Indian Pacific, which is a train journey named after the 2 great oceans that it joins. So this dotted line shows that the train crosses the whole continent from Perth to Adelaide to Sydney in 4 days and 3 nights. Here's some things that they did. So Joe took me to see the rock art painted by his early ancestors. Of course, the Aboriginal Australians were once the only people who lived in Australia. Today, people from all over the world call Australia home. And they also saw koala bears and kangaroos. So during the visit, I saw lots of koalas and kangaroos. Koalas live up in trees, and both animals carry their babies in a pouch. Kangaroos are protected in Australia because they are an important part of the country's ecosystem. So here's those petroglyphs. There's the kangaroos and koalas. Down here, guess what they did? Yeah, they went snorkeling. And water activities are popular along the coast in Australia. Joe and I swam at the Great Barrier Reef. It's the largest coral reef system in the whole world. That was their trip to Australia. Doesn't that make you want to go there? Um, okay, so they also go to Jordan. Do you remember where Jordan was? Kind of between Africa and Europe. So Jordan says, um, this kingdom of Jordan is a country in the Middle East with a population of over 10 million people. Arabic is the official language, and Jordan is ruled by a monarchy, which means that the king or queen in charge makes important decisions for the country. Who's he going to meet for his friend? Says Salam. I'm in Jordan visiting my friend Haneen. Haneen and her dad live in the capital city of Amman. Amman. The white buildings throughout the city are why Amman is nicknamed the White City. Haneen's cousin works at the wetland reserve, and we saw many unusual birds there, like the avocet with its long, thin beak. And let's take a look at this too, because it says the Dead Sea has more salt than any body of water in the world. Swimming in this water felt more like floating. Here you have the country, lots of animals. Here's the wetlands. You also have, what is that? That's a lynx. Here's a friend. And here's them floating in the Dead Sea, which would actually be located right there. And in the morning, Haneen and I ate thick yogurt, and I dipped the bread into this thick yogurt and then into a spice mixture, and it was so tasty. Let's see what else they did in Jordan. Haneen's dad took us to visit a Bedouin tribe. I know I'm not saying that right, but the Bedouins live in the desert year round, and they've adapted to this difficult climate. We had tea with the family in a tent that was made out of goat hair. And in the street, I saw a street busker playing a cool instrument called a rababa. It looked like a cross between a guitar and a violin. Take a look at that. It kind of looks like a guitar, and then you have to play it like a violin. And here's the people who actually live in the desert. Here's some camels. Pretty cool. This is also a place that they visited. So let's find out about that. It says, I went with Haneen's class on a field trip to the ancient Roman theater in downtown. Her teacher said the highest seats were the most popular because people thought they were closest to the gods. So that was the dude's time in Jordan. He has one more place to visit. And guess what? He's coming back closer to the US. Coming back home. We're going to the United States. And of course, the United States is quite big. Over here, it says the United States of America is the third largest country in the world and is home to over 300 million people. America's landscapes include deserts, mountains, grasslands, oceans. This is the home of Hollywood, a neighborhood in Los Angeles, and it's the place to go if you want to see a movie star, which of course is down here, right? But also in California, we have the Redwood National Park. It's home to the old growth forest. Some of the trees here are over 2,000 years old, and they can go up to 20 feet high. Who's he going to meet for his friend? So it says, I'm here in the United States. We say hello. We say buenos dias. And my friend that I'm visiting is named Eddie. He lives on a farm in Indiana. This state is part of America's Midwest, right here. And the Midwest is nicknamed America's breadbasket because of the abundance of crops that grow. Eddie's grandparents immigrated to the United States from Mexico, so his family eats many traditional Mexican foods, like guacamole, which is a dip made from avocado. Eddie likes to put guacamole on his hamburgers. Of course, over on this side too is also Alaska. So Alaska and Hawaii are the only states that are not connected to the rest of the country. Alaska is next to Canada, and while Hawaii, it's a chain of islands that are off in the Pacific Ocean. See what they do on the East Coast, and then I'll zoom in on this. Eddie's family took me on a road trip all the way to New York City, where we toured the American Museum of Natural History, and we caught a baseball game at Yankee Stadium. Also, on the East Coast, on the way back from New York, we visited the White House in the capital city, Washington, D.C. The White House is where the President of the United States lives and works. Let's zoom in. Look at the bear and the bison that are out west, and the bear and the moose and caribou in Alaska. Here are those large redwood trees. They're on a farm in Indiana. Could be here. Lots of deer. There's also, what is that? What is that? Oh, there's a wild boar. And then, of course, on the East Coast, you have the baseball game and you have Washington, D.C. And our road trip is complete. Now, I did say that there's a quiz. Here's what he says. He says, I visited some amazing places on my trip. And can you remember all of the things that we did? So just to kind of recap, when they were in Canada, it says, where did I celebrate Canada Day? This was in Ottawa. And in France, where did I find amazing views of Paris? Of course, that's the Eiffel Tower. In Morocco, they went trekking on camels in the desert, and that was in the Sahara Desert. The US, they caught a baseball game at Yankee Stadium. That's right. And in Brazil, it says, what famous river did we canoe down? Well, that was the Amazon. And in Costa Rica, they saw this amazing volcano, and that was Arenal volcano. Go to the next page. He wanted to recap his time in the Philippines, and him and Mary Lou went shopping. That was in an outdoor market. Over in China, what was that famous place that they visited right here? That's the Great Wall of China. And in India, there was a 300-year-old monument that's visited by millions of tourists every year, including him and Mina. And it's this building, which is the Taj Mahal. And in Greece, this temple amazed Constantinos and him while they were in Athens. And this is, do you remember? The Parthenon. In Jordan, he floated in a salty sea. Yeah, that was the Dead Sea. And Australia, they went for a swim and went snorkeling in, yeah, of course, the Great Barrier Reef. Great Barrier Reef. Finally, in Botswana, they saw plenty of animals at the Chobe National Park. Do you remember what kind of animals? There's a lion, giraffes, and crocodiles, and hippos, and gazelles. And that was this dude's ticket around the world to 13 different countries. What a perfect way to end our summertime adventures, traveling all over the world. We have visited quite a few other destinations and went into them specifically. And if you want to see those, they are recorded in our YouTube library. You can go back and watch those videos. So I'm Cassie. I've enjoyed spending the summer with you, and I will see you next time.